Something in your daily bakery order is quietly damaging your health, and almost no one realizes it. And if you've ever grabbed a warm loaf or roll from Greggs, this concerns you directly, because according to former employees, there are specific breads that you should never be eating. Yet thousands of people buy them every single morning. These aren't harmless little pastries. Some of these breads contain hidden additives, questionable prep practices, and ingredients that would shock most customers. And while the marketing makes everything look soft, fresh, and safe, the truth behind the counter tells a very different story. I've spent weeks digging through employee testimonies, food safety reports, recall notices, and insider footage. What I uncovered shocked even me, especially the items that look completely innocent. So today, we're exposing 5 Greggs breads that former workers say you should never order, along with the real health dangers they don't put on the signs. And trust me, number 1 is the one almost everyone has ordered at least once. Number 5, the soft white baguette. The Greggs. Soft white baguette is the kind of bread most customers never question. It looks clean, pale, perfectly shaped, and somehow more real than the pastries and rolls surrounding it. People buy it because it feels like the safest option. No heavy fats, no mystery meat, no sugary glaze. Parents choose it for school lunches. Workers grab it as the base for a quick sandwich. Diet-conscious shoppers treat it as the most wholesome thing in the shop. But according to ex-employees, the truth behind this baguette isn't nearly as simple as it appears. The biggest problem isn't what's added to it, but what isn't obvious. Even though Greggs finishes these baguettes in-store, they don't start life anywhere near fresh dough or a traditional bakery environment. They're created in large-scale industrial facilities where loaves are shaped, partially baked, and then flash frozen. This process isn't unusual. It's how many chains keep bread consistent, but it fundamentally changes the way the baguette behaves once it's heated for final sale. When you freeze par-baked bread, the internal structure becomes more fragile. After reheating, it begins drying out quickly, losing moisture far faster than a loaf baked from scratch. Former staff say this is where the problem begins. In a perfect world, every baguette would be baked, cooled briefly, displayed, and sold within a narrow time frame. But real bakery environments aren't perfect. Mornings get chaotic, deliveries run late, staff shortages mean fewer people are available to rotate stock. During lunch rushes, nobody has time to check timestamps. Some baguettes get snatched up minutes after they leave the oven. Others sit quietly on the display shelf for hours, looking identical on the outside while rapidly losing freshness inside. Customers can't see what employees see: a baguette that looks fluffy but feels slightly hollow when squeezed, or one that's already toughening from a freeze-thaw cycle. Insiders mention that some baguettes grow noticeably rubbery, dry, or leathery by late morning. Not dangerous, but dramatically different from what customers think they're buying. For people with digestive sensitivity, stale or overly dry bread can cause bloating or discomfort, especially when combined with cold fillings that require more effort to chew. Another hidden issue is temperature. Because the baguette is often displayed in open-air shelving, it's exposed to constant temperature fluctuation. Warm air dries it out. Cool drafts toughen the crust. The result? A product that pretends to be fresh-baked while behaving like something much older. And once a baguette hits that point of dryness, no amount of filling, chicken, tuna, egg, or salad can hide the fact that it's past its prime. The real problem here isn't safety. Greggs follows standard procedures, and the baguette isn't going to poison anyone. The real issue is deception by appearance. You think you're getting bakery fresh bread. You're actually getting a product engineered to look fresh long after it has lost the qualities that make bread enjoyable. And because Greggs locations vary in staffing, timing, and turnover, one store might give you a perfect baguette, while another hands you one that's practically cardboard on the inside. For a chain that advertises freshly baked, the soft white baguette becomes a subtle reminder that freshness in modern bakeries doesn't always mean what it used to. And if that makes you second-guess something as simple as a plain baguette, just wait, because the next item looks innocent and sweet, but it hides more sugar than many full desserts. Number 4, the cinnamon swirl. The Greggs. Cinnamon swirl is the kind of item people order with zero hesitation. It's small, it's sweet, and it looks like the perfect harmless treat. A light pick-me-up with your morning coffee or an innocent snack to brighten your day. But former employees and nutrition analysts both point to the same surprising truth. This pastry is far more dangerous to your health than its soft, swirled exterior suggests. Most customers don't realize that the cinnamon swirl is essentially a sugar bomb wrapped in dough. Despite looking modest in size, it contains a surprisingly high-calorie load, often comparable to a slice of full-size cake, and the majority of those calories come from rapidly absorbed sugars. These aren't naturally occurring sugars either, but refined sweeteners layered into the dough, the filling, and the glaze. Combined with white flour that breaks down quickly into glucose, the cinnamon swirl is engineered to spike blood sugar fast. For anyone dealing with insulin resistance, diabetes, or energy crashes, this pastry is far from innocent. The sweetness isn't the only concern. Many industrial baked goods, including items like the cinnamon swirl, rely on processing aids and dough conditioners designed to maintain softness and extend shelf life before baking. While these additives are allowed under UK food standards, they still raise questions among nutrition-focused insiders, especially when consumed frequently. In addition, cinnamon-flavored fillings often contain artificial flavor compounds rather than pure spice, adding another layer of processed complexity most customers never notice. Former Greggs workers mentioned something customers rarely think about. Pastries, like the cinnamon swirl, can sit on display shelves far longer than any sandwich or savory item. Because they don't contain meat or dairy fillings, staff tend to assume they're safe and stable, meaning they aren't always rotated as aggressively. A swirl that looks perfectly fine may actually be several hours old, and by that point, the sugar has hardened slightly, the fats have cooled, and the texture becomes denser, making it even harder for your body to digest. While none of this makes the cinnamon swirl unsafe in the sense of food poisoning, it does make it shockingly unhealthy, especially for something marketed as a light pastry. High sugar intake is linked to inflammation, mood crashes, rapid hunger return, and long-term health risks. Most people underestimate just how much damage a single pastry can do, and this one hides that danger beneath layers of sweetness. And if you think a sugar-loaded swirl is concerning, wait until you hear number 3, because the next item looks savory and comforting, but insiders warn it's packed with additives most customers never realize they're eating. Number 3, the cheese and onion roll. At first glance, the Greggs cheese and onion roll looks like a comforting, savory bread option. Golden, soft, warm, and perfectly sized for a quick snack. It feels like something simple, something honest, something you can trust. After all, it's just bread with cheese, right? But former employees and food industry analysts point to a very different story hiding beneath that flaky top layer, and it's one most customers never imagine when they order it. The first thing people don't realize is just how heavily processed this roll truly is. The dough isn't a traditional bakery dough. It's a fortified, factory-produced formulation designed for consistency, not purity. To achieve that soft interior and long-lasting texture, the roll relies on a cocktail of stabilizers, emulsifiers, and preservatives that help the product withstand freezing, transport, and long display hours. Then comes the cheese component, which often isn't just cheese. Industrial cheese blends commonly include cheese powder, anti-caking agents, artificial coloring, and added flavor enhancers to create that signature savory punch customers expect. The result? A roll that tastes warm and comforting, but behaves more like a processed snack cake than a fresh bakery item. Ex-employees also mention how these rolls can sit on warming shelves or open-air displays for extended periods, often longer than customers would imagine. Because the cheese and onion roll doesn't contain meat, it isn't treated with the same urgency as sausage rolls or steak-based items. Staff tend to prioritize higher-risk foods, meaning some cheese rolls sit much longer than ideal. Still safe to eat, but far from fresh. By the time a customer picks one up, the fats may have cooled and hardened, making the roll heavier, greasier, and harder to digest. And for anyone sensitive to sodium or processed additives, this can be a recipe for discomfort. And speaking of sodium, this is one of the sneakiest dangers. Cheese rolls often contain shockingly high salt levels, not just from the cheese topping, but from the dough itself. High sodium intake is linked to elevated blood pressure, dehydration, and bloating, and many customers unknowingly exceed recommended daily levels with just one innocent roll. It's the kind of health impact that doesn't hit you instantly, but builds silently over time, especially for regular Greggs visitors. Before we move on, if you're finding these insider revelations surprising, make sure to like this video and subscribe. It helps this channel expose more hidden food dangers that companies would rather you never hear about. Now, let's continue. Because if you think additives and hidden salts are bad, just wait until you see number 2. The next bread item is iconic, beloved, and far more processed than anyone wants to believe. Number 2. The sausage roll, the Greggs. Sausage roll is more than a menu item. It's a national habit. People don't even think before ordering it. They just instinctively reach for that warm, flaky, familiar shape. It feels safe because it's everywhere. On high streets, at petrol stations, in supermarkets, in school lunches. It's the comfort food people trust, without question. But former Greggs employees and food industry analysts say the simplicity customers believe in is an illusion. The truth is that the sausage roll's bread casing and filling are some of the most engineered items in the entire store. The pastry itself is the first clue. What looks like a simple, buttery dough is actually a product of industrial food science. The layers are created from refined flours and specially formulated fats, built to survive freezing, transport, reheating, and long display periods. These aren't the kind of fats you'd use at home. They're selected because they create structure, not because they're healthy. The dough also contains processing aids and conditioners that make it behave predictably in every store, in every batch, regardless of temperature or handling differences. It's consistent, yes, but that consistency comes from a level of processing most customers never imagine when they bite into something labeled as freshly baked. Then there's the sausage filling. The word sausage makes people imagine real minced pork shaped into a roll, but the reality is far more complicated. The filling includes pork, but much of the mixture is made from rusk, starches, binders, seasoning blends, preservatives, and stabilizers that hold everything together after freezing and reheating. The meat component is stretched with fillers to maintain texture and volume, giving it that soft, uniform bite Greggs is known for. It tastes rich and satisfying because the seasoning blend is carefully engineered to deliver flavor intensity, not because it's a traditionally prepared sausage. And for many customers, that's the uncomfortable part. The roll tastes homemade, but it isn't even close. Former employees frequently mention another hidden issue: the way sausage rolls are baked in large batches. During busy periods, this works in customers' favor. Items sold fast are usually fresh. But during quieter hours or slow afternoons, trays of sausage rolls may sit in warming cabinets for far longer than customers expect. They continue to look perfect and golden, but internally, the fats begin to break down, seep through the pastry, and alter the texture. Rolls that have sat too long become significantly greasier, saltier, and harder to digest, while the filling slowly dries and compactifies. Staff rotate stock when they can, but during hectic shifts, older rolls don't always get swapped out quickly enough. Nutritionally, the sausage roll packs a punch that most people underestimate. It's high in saturated fat, sodium, and calories, condensed into a deceptively small portion. These levels aren't illegal. They're standard for processed pastries, but they can have real long-term effects. Eating one roll occasionally isn't a problem. Eating several a week, as many fans do, means constant spikes in salt and unhealthy fats, inflammation, digestive strain, and energy crashes masked by a short-lived sense of comfort. And because the sausage roll is cheap and accessible, it becomes part of people's weekly routines without them even realizing how much processed food they've been consuming. The real shock is that one of the most beloved bakery items in the country is also one of the most engineered, a masterclass in processed food disguised as an old-fashioned favorite. And if the nation's most iconic roll hides this much complexity, imagine what's hiding in the breads people never question. With that in mind, the final product on our list isn't just processed or unhealthy. It's the only one linked to an official food safety recall, proving that even the most trusted comfort foods can have dangerously unexpected consequences. Number 1. The steak bake. The Greggs. Steak bake has always been one of the chain's crown jewels, the kind of warm, flaky comfort food people grab without hesitation. It's the definition of a safe choice. It looks hearty, familiar, and dependable. Parents order it for their kids. Workers rely on it for a quick lunch. Even people who avoid pastries will often make an exception for the steak bake because it feels like a proper meal, wrapped in golden layers of dough. But hidden behind that simple exterior is a chapter in Greggs history that most customers never learned about. One that proved the steak bake isn't just heavy or unhealthy. It can cross into genuine food safety territory. In February 2020, Greggs issued an urgent nationwide recall of their 2-pack steak bakes sold through Iceland supermarkets. The reason? Certain batches contained undeclared sulfites, a known allergen that can trigger severe reactions in sensitive individuals. For many people, sulfites go unnoticed, but for those with sulfite sensitivity or asthma, exposure can lead to wheezing, difficulty breathing, dizziness, swelling, and in extreme cases, emergency-level reactions. And because the ingredient wasn't listed on the packaging, customers had no way of knowing the danger hiding inside a product they'd eaten hundreds of times before. This wasn't speculation. It wasn't an online rumor. It was an official Food Standards Agency recall, a rare and serious step that only occurs when a product poses a real, documented risk. But the recall is only part of the story. The steak bake's iconic pastry casing, the bread shell holding everything together, is itself a highly processed product. Instead of being handcrafted in-store, the pastry is produced in large factories using industrial baking methods. The dough is formulated with refined flours, hydrogenated-style fats or shortening blends, emulsifiers, stabilizers, conditioners, and processing aids that allow it to be par-baked, frozen, transported, reheated, and still look handmade. It's a modern food engineering miracle, but it's a long way from the traditional bakery pastry customers picture in their minds. When ex-employees describe the product, they often highlight how the pastry behaves less like real dough and more like a manufactured food material with predictable performance. And then there's the filling. Thick, savory, and satisfying, but held together with starches, gels, and stabilizing agents that keep it uniform even after freezing and reheating. Former staff mentioned that the internal temperature of steak bakes can drop more subtly than items like sausage rolls. Because of this, some stores reheat batches to maintain warmth, especially during slower hours. Reheating doesn't make the product unsafe, but it absolutely affects quality. The pastry becomes drier, tougher, and more brittle, while the filling transforms into a denser, pastier texture. To a hungry customer, everything might still look fine, but the product on the inside has changed far more than the crisp exterior suggests. Add to this the reality of bakery rush cycles. During busy hours, steak bakes move fast, too fast, in some stores. Outside those hours, they may sit in warming cabinets for extended periods. Employees have openly said that pastries can appear perfect on the outside even when they've passed their optimal freshness window. The result? A product that isn't dangerous in the bacterial sense, but can be heavy, greasy, and difficult for the stomach to break down, especially when eaten frequently. The steak bake represents the heart of modern fast food baking, comforting on the outside, industrial on the inside. A product we all grew up with, but one whose production, ingredients, and even safety record tell a very different story. For something so popular, so trusted, and so widely consumed, this hidden past is something most customers never hear about unless they go digging. And if the nation's favorite savory bake can carry this kind of baggage, you have to wonder, what else don't we know about the foods we buy every single day? Now that we've peeled back the layers on some of Greggs' most familiar bread items, it becomes clear how easily a comforting routine can hide uncomfortable truths. We walk into these shops every day, believing the warm glow of the bakery counter represents honesty, simplicity, and freshness. But behind that inviting display lies a system built on frozen doughs, ultra-processed fillings, extended holding times, and ingredients engineered for mass production rather than genuine quality. None of it is designed to hurt you, but it's certainly not designed with your long-term health in mind either. The real danger isn't that these items are poisoned or intentionally harmful. The danger is assumption, assuming that baked in store means made from scratch, assuming that something looks fresh so it must be fresh, assuming that a product you grew up eating can never carry hidden risks. As we've seen, even a beloved classic like the steak bake has been caught in the middle of a real food recall. And many of the other items on this list rely on ingredients and processes that would surprise even the most loyal customers. The more you learn, the more you realize that simple food often isn't simple at all. So what should you do? Start by choosing products with shorter ingredient lists. Fewer additives mean fewer surprises. Eat processed pastries and rolls sparingly. especially the ones loaded with sugar, refined fats, and thickened fillings. Don't be afraid to ask how long something has been sitting out. Freshness isn't just about flavor, it's about safety and digestibility too. And whenever you buy pre-packaged versions of Greggs products from supermarkets, always check for recall notices. Even trusted brands can make mistakes. If this video opened your eyes, let us know in the comments. Share the moment that shocked you the most, or tell us which popular food you want exposed next. Your voice helps guide future investigations. And please share this video with someone who stops at Greggs regularly. Most people have no idea what they're really eating, and a single share can help someone make safer choices. Before you go, make sure you subscribe for more deep dive exposés into the foods we buy without thinking. This channel is just getting started, and the next investigation might change the way you shop, the way you eat, or even the way you protect your family.